Welcome, welcome.
Hello, Dorinda.
Good morning, everyone. We'll start in about 3 minutes. We're giving everybody else a chance to log on. Again, welcome everyone. We'll start at 10:05, so we got a good 60 seconds. Just giving people a chance to get settled on Zoom and on YouTube. So we'll be with you momentarily. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are doing well today. By emoji, please drop in the chat how you are doing, how you feeling on this really great Saturday morning. Looking forward to spending time with you all today. Just making sure getting the sound check. You all can hear me, correct? It looked like it. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, yes. Our facilitator is having like gives us a great heart emoji. We love to see that. So welcome everybody. This is crazy. This is the last session of this really phenomenal series that we have been in. Touch Gift Foundation's Sizzle and Shine series. But first, I'll introduce myself. My name is Shauntee Randle. By day, I am an educator. I work in college access. By night and on the weekends, I work with Touch Give Foundation, who has been the mastermind empowering this entire series. So we've been at this since June. And Liasha, which I will formally introduce in a few minutes, has been rocking with us since the beginning. Uh, every month she comes and give us such great gems. It's so great. So we appreciate you so much for being one of the main folk for us for this series.
Absolutely.
This is a Lynn Shine series. As we wrap up, we've been talking about workplace skills, leadership development skills, and career exploration. And so today we bring you again Liasha McDaniel, who will be talking to us about networking like a professional. So I'll give a brief intro unless you want me
Go ahead. Go ahead.
to. I listen because we gotta let you know who you're talking to today. So Liasha McDaniel, also known as the Professional Development Maven, is the CEO and founder of LLF Consulting, which is one of the sponsors of this series. With 20 plus years of combined experience in project management and human resources. Born and raised in Chicago, Laisha attended, yes, woo, woo, attended Northern Illinois University. After earning her bachelor's degree in corporate communications, she started her career in project management, where she led projects for a variety of organizations, some in which include Microsoft, Dell, Atcorp International. I'm making sure I've got everything. Yep. After earning two master's degrees, project management and human resources, she coupled her education and professional experience and created LLF Consulting, a firm specializing in professional development. Oh, we love that. The community loves that. She is a certified project manager. Alicia's solid business allows her to view customer businesses with a wide lens and narrow them down to identify business complexities, provide critical thinking, and drive product strategy. She offers a unique blend of thought leadership, vision, and project management expertise. She specializes in organizing processes, teams, technology that seamlessly shifts the gears of failing businesses. She has a professional expertise. Sorry, trying to make sure I got everything. Oh my goodness, hold on. I'm so sorry. I lost my thing. Oh, yes, in risk management and mitigation. Um, let's see, strategic planning as well. Trying to make sure I got everything. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Only
No,
because
you summed it up.
she does a lot of really phenomenal things. And like I can read it on here, but just to hear her speak, you have been like such a blessing to me like
Thank
throughout this
you.
series. And so I'll stop right there and just hand it over to Liasha. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, listen, happy Saturday. We are a small group, but when I tell you, although we're small and intimate, I love those type of settings. If you want to, and if you feel comfortable, you can come off, turn your cameras on just so I can see some faces. But if you don't, I completely understand. I want to make this as engaging as possible. I always feel like when I do virtual workshops, typically when I have the opportunity to, hey, Dorinda, typically when I have the opportunity to engage with those on the other end, it just makes it very warm and fuzzy. So again, don't feel any pressure, but we are like family here today. And so I definitely want you guys to come off mute, share some examples. Again, if you don't, I'm completely fine with that because we're going to rock and roll. So networking like a professional. How many of you are comfortable? You can drop an emoji, you can come off mute, you can raise your hand virtually via the reactions on Zoom. How many of you are actually comfortable with networking? Comfortable. Meaning you can get into a room and you can work the room, put you in a room and you don't know anyone in the room, but you are so comfortable with networking in a room of complete strangers. How many of you are comfortable with networking? And if you're not, guess what? You're in the right place at the right time. I promise you, by the time we conclude this session, you will be comfortable. Shauntee says she's comfortable, but I'm going to give you some gems that will make you even more comfortable in the process. Okay. How many of you know what networking actually is? Definitely know you've heard the term, but how many of you know what networking actually is? Don't be shy. We're a small group. Don't be shy. Okay. So network is the process of building professional relationships. Let me add a word in there. Intentional professional relationships. And the benefit of networking. And I always say networking should be mutually beneficial for all parties involved. Networking should not benefit one side of the partnership. All parties involved should mutually benefit from networking. And we're going to talk about what providing that mutual exclusivity, what that means here today. And so again, networking can happen in a variety of settings. It can be in a formal setting. It can be in an informal setting. You can even network online. So there's many different ways to skin a cat. There's no one way that you should network. Of course, there are some best practices as there are related to networking, just like any relationship. When you establish your network, it's important that you activate your network. It's important that you water your network. It's important that you nurture your network. Networking is just not about when I need a favor, I'm going to tap in my network to see who can do what for me. It's making sure that you keep people apprised of your journey along the way, even when it's not a win per se. Hey, I'm going through some things. I just wanted to make you aware. Keep your network apprised so that they can share the journey with you. Again, networking should be mutually beneficial. Before we go ahead and jump in, I just want to share, I am going to turn my camera off. I'm actually going to share a presentation just to maximize the connectivity and the bandwidth. I'm going to come off camera. But as I check in with you guys, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to come back on camera again. I just want to make sure that I am connecting with each one of you. Certainly, if you have any questions related to the content, we are an intimate group here this morning, which is completely fine. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. You can feel free to use the raised hand emoji in the reactions, and I will make sure that I address any questions, comments, or concerns that anyone has this morning. Before we go ahead and get started, any questions, comments, or concerns? I promise you, within the next hour and 30 minutes, I am going to blow your mind. All right, let's rock and roll. Shauntee, you know that's what I do. Is everyone able to see my screen okay?
Yep, I'm able to see it. We see snow.
Okay. Well, you're not supposed to see the snow, so let me try this.
It was some pretty snow. I'm not ready for it though.
No, that's why I hurried up and ended it. How about now?
Yep, we're good
Okay,
to go.
perfect. All right, so first and foremost, thank you all for joining me this morning. Thank you for your commitment. I know it's a Saturday, and for many of us, Saturday is a time when we decompress, catch up on chores, but you decided to spend your morning with me. And so for that, myself and TG and the TGF family, we are very grateful. You've decided to take a big step in bettering your future. And listen, I totally understand that it is easier said than done. I get it. But hopefully you bury those old ways, specifically the old habits that don't produce fruit. And we all have them, myself included. Make sure that you stay connected with me. As you can see on the screen, LLF is my website. It is also my handle across all socials. Again, my name is Liasha McDaniel. I am a professional development maven. I'm an educator and I am a success coach. It is my pleasure this morning to join you on our networking journey. I've been in your shoes when I did not know how to network, or maybe I didn't know how to maximize my network. And so, of course, we learn from our experiences. If I could say there was one thing that I regret as I was navigating my way and climbing up the corporate ladder, most of the time I felt alone. And so, lucky for you, you are not traveling this journey alone, because I am going to be here with you every step of the way, specifically as you learn how to network. So being alone is not going to be your journey, because I definitely have you covered. So let's talk about the essentials. I love networking. I love sharing this story that I'm going to share with you because of the impact, the power that it had. And for many people, it's like, are you serious that that really happened? So I am an avid coffee lover. 200 coffee dates in 1 year. I have over 1,200 organic connections in my network. And I notice I said organic. So not just 1,200 people that I'm connected to, but at least 1,200 people that in a 365 annual on a calendar year, these are people that I'm checking in with. Hey, how are you doing? How's work? How's the family? Not to say that we're sitting on the phone for hours at a time, but there is some touch point that I have with my network. So about 7 years ago, this was pre-COVID, I remember I jumped into my networking bag. It was important for me to be very intentional. I was trying to make some strides in my career, and I felt like I was very stagnant. I had the education, I had the professional experience. However, when it came time for me to excel to the next level, I felt like I was stuck. And so it was important. And I had attended many professional workshops, and I had heard this concept of networking. And admittedly, at that time, it was just something that was sort of stored in the back of my mind. I heard it, but I didn't necessarily execute. And so about 7 years ago, I decided I did not have anything to lose. I felt tired of being stuck. And I said, you know what? I am going to take this networking thing seriously. I have nothing to lose. My resume was on point. My cover letter was on point. My professional bio was on point. My LinkedIn was on point. There was still something that was missing. And so again, I had heard it over and over again. And so I said, you know what? I am going to network. So at the time, there was a conference down at the Hyatt Regency. As Shauntee mentioned, my background is in project management. And so because I live on LinkedIn, not just when I'm looking for a job, but like many people live on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, I live on LinkedIn. That is why I'm able to nurture my 1,200 plus connection network, because I'm always on it. I always like to see what my network has going on, who's been promoted. That is, for me, that is my guilty pleasure. And so there was a conference, and by the way, and some of the people that I absolutely adore professionally, I follow them on LinkedIn. It's always great to see, especially when they've started from humble beginnings, and I'm able to track their journey and their progress and say, you know what, I remember when she sat in that role. Wow, she recently got promoted. Long story short, there was a woman specifically in project management that I absolutely adored. She was an executive. She was in executive leadership. And I think what most intrigued me about her was, number one, she was a woman of color. And so I felt like that alone, I could identify with her, because in my industry, it is predominantly men. And so just the fact that not only was she a woman, but she was a woman of color, I was like, high five, girl, yes. In addition to that, of course, LinkedIn gives you the professional history of a person. And so we both went to the same university. She was a graduate of NIU. We had a very similar path professionally. Not to mention, she was in executive leadership, and that is where I aspire to be. So she had shared this conference that she was going to attend, and she was going to be a speaker. And so for what it was worth, I had absolutely nothing to lose. At the time, I believe I was working for Microsoft at the time, and they offer professional development days, meaning that they would comp us for our time to attend these events. So it was a no-brainer for me to go. there were at least 2,500 attendees at this event. And so I took my business cards because, again, for me, I was very intentional. I wanted to connect with this woman, even if it was to shake her hand, put a name with a face, if she was going to be available for me to talk, whatever that looked like. My intention when I went with her, I definitely wanted to connect with at least 20 professionals, but I wanted to get my eyes on this woman so that she knew who I was, because something was telling me 7 years ago that I just wouldn't know her via a connection on LinkedIn, but our relationship would grow and it would flourish. I didn't know what it meant at that time, but I knew that it started with my intentionality and me going to that conference. And so I did. I actually met her in a vendor hall. So she had done some main stage chats. She had done some fireside chats. She did a couple breakout sessions and I attended those sessions. And then I actually caught her in a vendor hall. I introduced myself. We spoke very briefly. And when I say briefly, probably all of 2 minutes. I gave her my business card. Mission accomplished. I probably also connected with 30 professionals that day. So when I walked away, I felt like my job had been done. But most importantly, the woman that I had set out, the whole reason why I was going to this conference, I was able to put my business card in her hand, and in exchange, I received her. So after that, I gave it a couple days and I sent her a message on LinkedIn. Sent her a message. She did not reply. Okay, what did I have to lose? I sent her a second message. She didn't reply. So I think this is where I recognize the growth in myself as a professional, because probably 5 years prior to that, after that first point of contact, after I initiated contact the first time, after she didn't respond, I probably would have not engaged her again. However, I recognize that this woman she was a heavy per se. She was a heavy within, within the project management industry, within our realm. And so I recognize that she was no light player. She very well could have been busy. I didn't personalize the situation, and I recognized that I had absolutely nothing to lose. I reached out to her for a third time. She didn't respond. And so what I said was, I'm going to reach out to her again after the fourth time if she doesn't respond. And by the way, it probably was a week in between each time when I contacted her. I told myself, if she doesn't reach out, if she doesn't respond after this fourth time, I'm going to give it a couple months and I'm going to reach back out to her. If nothing more, I want her to say, who is this pesky person that continues to flood my inbox? And so I reached out to her for the fourth time and she finally responded. Again, I absolutely had nothing to lose. And I'm glad that I decided when I connected with her to get out of my own way. I didn't personalize it. I didn't say, you know what, she didn't respond to me the first time, so I'm not going to respond. It took this woman 4 times. And when I actually connected with her, I realized that she also loves coffee. And so I just really wanted to hop online with her for 15 minutes. I wanted to ask her some questions. I wanted to make her aware that I enjoyed her at the conference. I just wanted to talk to her and connect with her. And so I proposed a 15-minute meeting online, and she recommended us going to a local Starbucks, which we did. And we actually stayed there for 2 hours. So while I thought I was going to get 15 minutes of this woman's time, I actually got 2 hours of her time. And when I tell you, probably one of the best 2 hours of my professional life spent, I was able to learn so much from this perfect stranger. She literally was an open book. I was able to share some of my shortcomings professionally. And at the end of that 2-hour conversation, I felt so comfortable with her. She created a safe space for me where at the time I was missing a professional mentor. And at the end of that conversation, I was able to ask her if she would mind being my mentor. Unbeknownst to me, she would tell me yes. And she would change the trajectory of my career. I'm going to make this story short because I know we have to keep going. 18 months later from our date at the coffee shop, at the time, I was a 6-figure earner. But 18 months later, again, her and I, we had worked together for 18 months. She was sharing resources with me, rooms where I needed to sit. She would let me know. She would bring my name up in rooms where I hadn't even set a foot yet. She would connect me with people online, whether it was via email, whether she would text. When I tell you, it was an invaluable experience, and I can't be more grateful for her. But fast forward 18 months later, I had shared with her that I was ready to move into executive leadership. And I felt like I had the qualities and the skills to do so. However, I just felt stagnant and stuck in my career. And so there was an opportunity that she had in her lap. The opportunity had not been posted on any job board, but it was because of the connections she had in her network that she was willing to share with me. She was able to get me in that role and double my six-figure salary. This is not a woman that I had known for 10 years. This is not a woman that I had come up with throughout my childhood. This was simply a woman that I met on LinkedIn. This was someone that I set my intentions to connect with because we had a lot of commonality professionally. I was very strategic with my connections. Literally, I saw when she posted, I was already following her. I saw that she was going to be at a professional network. So in addition, my main objective was to connect with her. I also wanted to connect with 20 other professionals. I connected with 30 other professionals. And fast forward, just shy of 2 years later, she changed my life professionally. And so again, there is power in your network. The saying that truly says, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That saying couldn't be more true than what it actually says. And so when you do network, and you notice on this image, I'm telling you, I love networking. I recognize for those of you that are in the job market, oftentimes you spend countless hours scouring through job boards. You're looking for jobs. You're looking for that next golden opportunity. And if you know anything about today's job market, it is a lengthy process. In fact, there are some people that have been looking for a job for more than 6 months and still have not landed employment. And so I encourage you, just as you're spending hours and hours on LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, spend hours and hours and groom your network. Connect with people that make intentional connections, and unplug from people that can't do anything for you. Remember when I first opened my conversation, I told you networking is mutually beneficial. You know, when you are networking with your network, you're sharing knowledge, you're sharing resources. In my case, my mentor was able to share a career opportunity. When you network, it involves connecting with people that are in your industry. They could be in a related field, or they could even sometimes, hint, hint, they are outside of your immediate circle. And so when you think about exchanging information, when you think about seeking advice, when you think about creating those potential career and business opportunities, you have to consider, what does my network look like? So when you're online, you want to make sure that you are showing your best skills and your areas of proficiency. So when I say that, a lot of times when you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, specifically people that don't know you, you want to make sure that the representation that you have online is reflective of where you are today. In other words, don't connect with people on LinkedIn and your profile is outdated, so that if they read something online and they were to question you or comment on it, your first response is, that's old. Get your LinkedIn up to date. Be ready to detail your accomplishments. That is what LinkedIn is for. Show how you move the needle. Show how you move the mark. And most importantly, be okay with exercising your passion. What are you passionate about? Be sure to exercise your passion. So today in this workshop, 3 lessons. We're going to talk about the common frustrations people have with networking. We're going to talk about the top 3 networking fears. We're going to talk about some rules of networking. We're going to talk about the elevator pitch. I'm sure all of you have heard about an elevator pitch. Then we're going to talk about the value of networking, 5 ways you can benefit from your network, the ABCs of networking. I've already spoke. You've already heard me give the precursor to LinkedIn, but yes, it is the networking mecca. I am at the end of this class. I want you guys to share your email with me, and I am going to send you a resource. It is 5 different messages that you can send to a prospective connection on LinkedIn. So I am going to share 5 common prospects with you. I'm literally going to give you the script. All you have to do is copy and paste it. So I'm going to give that to you as a takeaway for showing up and spending your Saturday with me. And then we're going to close the workshop out by talking about some networking sources, social media networking, networking events, and how do I build my network? So that being said, let's talk about fears and frustrations. So first and foremost, you're not alone. And I mentioned that before. I remember being in your shoes. I would walk into a room, and by the way, I'm an extrovert, but sometimes when I would get around people that I did not know, there was a sense of discomfort that would come over me. And by the way, my credentials, the list was very long, but there was just something that I was very uncomfortable with when I was around people that I did not know. Did you know that 85% of jobs are filled via networking? So what you see on Indeed, LinkedIn, Career Builder, Monster, that's literally the residual 15%, but literally 85% of jobs are filled via word of mouth. As I mentioned to you, my mentor was able to share an opportunity with me that changed my life. By the way, that job hadn't even been posted. It hadn't even been posted. Did you also know that 40% of networkers want to network more frequently, but they don't have the time? Let me tell you this thing about time. It is a one single resource that you cannot get back. And for that reason, you have to be very strategic with how you spend your time, with whom you spend your time. You must be very intentional. And so you have to make time, specifically if you're trying to get to somewhere where you're not today. You have current state, this is where I am today, and then there's a future state where I aspire to be. And so sometimes you have to disconnect from the things that don't bear fruit in order to make time for the things that you know will catapult you to the next level. Did you know that 1 in 4 professionals don't network at all? They don't do it. For whatever the reason, they just don't do it. And last but not least, did you know that only 11% of LinkedIn users have more than 100 people in their networks? So again, you're not alone in this journey, I promise you. But at the end of this workshop, I am going to give you some tools that you can refine your skill set. And it doesn't matter if you walk in a room of 5 people or 50 people, you will feel comfortable in telling those people who you are. Talk about the rules of networking. You have to put your best foot forward. For those of you that will initiate your networking process, now it's time to activate our network. For some of us, our networks have been lying dormant. You haven't touched them. You haven't talked to those people since you left the last job. It is now time for you to get active. I want you to activate your network, but in order for you to activate, remember, you have to put your best foot forward. Make sure that anything online about you, again, is the right current representation of where you are today. Be willing to listen and be willing to learn. I know some of us are very type A personalities, and some of us can be very stubborn within our own rights, but you have to know when to listen. You have to have a heart. You have to posture your heart so that you're able to learn and receive the gems, from a variety of professionals. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't, but prepare yourself to listen and learn. Prepare to ask questions. In fact, you should be asking questions. Even if you know a person, you don't know everything about a person. So this is an art to listening. When you listen to a person, you will come across some things that you may or may not know. And so this will prompt you to ask the right questions. Follow up. Following up is key. As I mentioned in my example with my mentor, I was very adamant about following up. I did not allow her lack of responsiveness after I reached out to her the first time to stop me. In fact, I told myself after I had sent her the fourth message that if she didn't respond, instead of sending her another message a week later, I would give it a couple months. But for me, I wasn't going to stop until she responded. And I'm glad that I didn't. Don't be timid and don't be shy. Again, you want to be intentional. And so there are things that you have to tell yourself. And most times professionals, they get in their own way. She's too busy. He's too busy. I know they're not going to have time for me. Don't worry about that. Allow that person to tell you. And they very well may say, I don't have time today, but perhaps next week, are you available? Get out of your own way. Get out of your own head. Again, don't be afraid to ask the questions that you prepare. Sometimes, I call it mental gymnastics. We do the work, but then we get in front of the person and literally we go blank. So those questions that you prepared, don't be afraid to ask, because a lot of times when you start to research a person, you start to learn some things that you never knew, which may prompt you to write down a question that you want some additional clarity to, or can you provide, or can you explain to me? So don't be afraid to ask those questions. And don't be overzealous and self-promoting. Again, when you're getting to learn a person, you don't want to come off as very braggy, very boastful. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are. You want to create the space for the person to learn about you. You don't have to give it to them all in the first meeting. So fear number one, I have to be perfect. I call it the perfection plague. Your delivery doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it shouldn't be very scripted. It should be very organic. There's nothing wrong with you having points that you'd like to discuss, but save your time. Don't go and write out a speech or write out this dissertation about what you're going to say. Again, if there are some tips that you want to keep in the back of your mind just so that you don't forget, that's perfectly fine. But remember, you are human. You're not a robot. And so your delivery doesn't have to be perfect. Again, you want to practice those tips. If I were to meet this person, or if I'm sending this message, this is how I would say, or this is what I would wear. Develop your own personal style. Again, it's important that you are authentic in the process. As I just mentioned on the previous slide, stay in learning mode. Whenever you're networking with people, make sure that you're in sponge mode. You're in sponge mode. You're ready to learn. And that's why I say you have to posture your heart, because that's all about it. That's one of the keys to networking. You're going to connect with some people that you may not know them personally, but they're going to give you some gems and some nuggets that you can take that will last you for a lifetime. And so you have to stay in learning mode. And by the way, be prepared that you may make some mistakes along the way, but that's okay. This journey is not intended to be perfect. In fact, someone in your network may help you to correct the mistake. They may help you to provide the course correction. So ditch the mantra that you have to be perfect, because you don't. In fact, sometimes you can be off-putting to someone if you come across as scripted, or if you come across as disingenuous. You want to remain authentic to who you are. Here's a second fear. What if they tell me no? Remember, no is not a personal rejection or an attack. And oftentimes when we feel that way, it's because we're in our own head. It's because we're getting in our own way. You have to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't see your message. Maybe they had some other things going on that had a higher priority. Maybe their intention is to connect with you, but just not at this time. I can personally tell you I'm guilty. As a new mother, people text me all the time, And admittedly, I've fallen off of my swift responsiveness to text people back because a lot of times I am in mommy mode. And so my intentions are there to text somebody back, but then I realize hours and hours have gone by and I'm like, oh man, I gotta text her back, or I need to text this person back. So remember, no, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Note also provides additional opportunities for reflection. Just because a person tells you no doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. Remember, stay true to who you are. Remember, authenticity is king. Ask, is there a better time? Maybe now is not the right time. Give a person the benefit of the doubt. And remember, you want to foster connections during future meetings as well. Let me come off mute really quick, just in case anyone has any questions. Any questions? Any comments? And I'm also watching the chat box too. So if anyone has any questions or comments that you want to drop, please feel free to utilize the chat box as well. All right, keep going. Fear number 3, the fear of being pushy. So again, it's important for you to be enthusiastic because that is an attractive quality. But sometimes if you're too enthusiastic, it can be misconstrued that you're being pushy. So some of the things that when you are connecting with people, you want to avoid the pity party, right? No one wants to hear the woe is me story, especially someone not new. In fact, people that know you, they often tend to run when people are coming with the pity party. So leave those conversations separate when you're trying to activate your network. Again, avoid desperation. No one wants to come across as desperate, right? Remember, networking is about mutual benefits. And so just like you're seeking to gain something from someone, it's also important that they're gaining something from you. It's not just a give, it is a give and take relationship. And then again, you don't want to be so self-consumed because again, that can also be off-putting to a person. So what's most important is that you focus on noticing the impact that you have on others, because this will help you to understand what you can bring to the table, okay? One of my favorite lines, complacency births failure. If you guys remember a few slides ago, I shared with you, 1 in 4 professionals hasn't networked at all. And that is because people are very comfortable. But I am here to tell you that complacency births failure. And so a lot of us are very comfortable where we are professionally, but comfortable doesn't mean that you are where you need to be. It's just where you are at the moment. And so sometimes in order for us to elevate to the next level, we have to step outside of our comfort zones. I love coffee. It's important that we leverage our strengths. Just like I drive to Starbucks every single day, 7 days a week. I was able to leverage my love for coffee, and it literally changed my career. So this elevator pitch that I'm talking about, you've heard me say the elevator pitch, the elevator pitch. How many of you can drop it in the chat, you can come off mute. What in your mind, what is an elevator pitch? Come on, you guys, what's an elevator pitch?
It's a brief introduction of who you are, your value proposition, why they should choose you over someone else, and basically giving a idea of what your passion is and what it is that you do for a living.
Absolutely, you just hit it right on the head. I'm going to add just a few things. It is a brief, persuasive speech about who you are and what you do. Think about literally if we were to enter an elevator of a building that had 50 floors, we're all on this call, we're getting on the floor, we're getting on the elevator, the ground floor. By the time we get to the 50th floor, it's 5 of us right here on this call. By the time we get off, we're each gonna know each other. So elevator pitches should not be long. Hence the reason why the time we get to the 50th floor, we're all gonna know one another. So about 30 to 60 seconds is all you need. You're going to introduce yourself. So you're going to start with your name and who you are, what you do, and you're going to highlight it. But you're going to highlight what you do very concisely. And when I say highlight, you're going to highlight your professional expertise or what your experience is or some key skills that you have. Within the 30 to 60 seconds, you're going to share your value. So you're going to talk about what makes you unique, what makes you unique, and then you're going to end your elevator pitch with a call to action. So you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. You want to mention to them that you love, here's my business card, let's stay connected. You always want to end the elevator pitch with a call to action. I love elevator pitches because they're great at networking events, specifically big networking events, because everyone is kind of moving around. And so you don't have a whole lot of time to spend with the person, but at the same time, you have 30 to 60 seconds to make an impression on someone where they're like, I need to connect with her after this event. In fact, there have been times when I've been at a networking event. In fact, I went to Black Enterprise had a Women of Power Summit in Las Vegas in February. By the way, if you guys have never been, I would highly encourage you to stay connected with Black Enterprise so that you could attend next year. But there were so many women that I met. And so literally, as I was sharing my business card and, spewing my elevator pitch, literally, I would see that women were connecting with me as I was walking from, one breakout session to the next. So again, when you're networking, it's important for you to share your story. As I just mentioned, I gave you the framework for your elevator pitch. So you have to do your homework. Remember, it's only 30 to 60 seconds long. You don't have a whole lot of time. And so you want to make sure within that 1 minute, you capture somebody's attention. So it may require you to do your homework just to refine what that looks like. And most importantly, what is your goal? You always need to have the goal in mind. I'm going to go back to my story with my mentor. When I saw her online, when I registered for that conference downtown, my goal was to connect with her. It was to connect with her and 20 other professionals. She really was the eye on the prize for me. And so that was the goal. And as luck would have it, happenstance, I was able to catch her in the vendor hall. So as we close fears and frustrations, a couple things I want you guys to do. Yes, you have homework. I want you to be real with yourself, and I want you to identify what are my current fears and frustrations. Write them out. And not only when you write them out, I want you to write a proposed solution. What are you going to do to overcome your elevator pitch? Sorry, what are you going to do to overcome the fears and frustrations that you have? Then I want you to draft an elevator pitch, because remember, it is going to come in handy. So you're going to draft it. Remember, 30 to 60 seconds. I want you to practice it in the mirror too. So literally put your stopwatch on your phone. So remember the four components of an elevator pitch: your introduction. So that typically starts with your name and your role. Number 2, you're going to highlight what you do. So concisely, you're going to describe your professional expertise, your experience, and some key skills that you have. Number 3, you're going to share your value in your elevator pitch. So what makes you unique? And the last thing, the fourth thing, probably the most important thing is, what is your call to action? So in other words, how are you going to invite that person that you're talking to another conversation? How are you going to connect with them? So I want you to craft your elevator pitch and start practicing it, because it will come in handy. And then determine how can you help your potential prospect. Remember, networking is mutually beneficial. So oftentimes you know what you want from a person, but I want you to think about what value could I bring to them? Because again, in your elevator pitch, that's the second thing that I mentioned. The third thing that I mentioned, sharing your value. So again, right up front, within that 30 to 60 seconds, you want to articulate the value that you have. Now let's talk about the value of networking. So here's some networking facts. Here's what you have to do to make it work for you. Social media followers. Followers don't build careers. I don't care how many people you're connected to on LinkedIn. You can be connected to 5,000 people. It's not the followers that will build your career. It's the relationship that will build your career. Again, you have to be intentional and you have to be strategic. Spend more time meeting the right type of people in the right places for the right reason. Remember, time is the one resource that you can't get back. And for that reason, it's important that you are strategic with how you spend your time. I tell you, 10 years ago, I stopped associating myself with people that I knew couldn't take me where I knew I wanted to be. I had some professional aspirations. And again, it was the hard conversation that I had to have with myself that I was stuck. But I realized because I was connected to dead weight. And so again, you have to be very intentional and very strategic. Networking 2.0, make it matter for your life as well as your career. Okay. So I'll let you guys read the meme if you want to take a picture on the screen, and I'm going to move on to the next slide. Professional networking, it is a critical part of your job search. It's not just about going on the job board. When you're in the market actively looking for a job, you should have a well-established network. It needs to be an important part of your life. Networking is about forming the right connections with the right people who will respond in the right way. That only happens when you do the outreach to cross paths with individuals who value professional networking, professional relationships. You cannot network with someone who doesn't want to network. They have to share the same interest as you. I'm going to show you guys something on my LinkedIn here in just a second. But again, it has to be mutually beneficial. 5 ways that you can utilize your network, just in case you didn't know. New career opportunities. Access to unpublished job opportunities. Oftentimes, you know, when you work for a company, depending on who you're connected to at the job, you may know that there is a job that's going to go up. And so oftentimes, because people like referrals, they'll ask the question, do you know someone that would be a good fit for this job? So again, 5 ways to utilize your job network is because you now have access to unpublished job opportunities. I love 5 ways to utilize your network is because you get to build your confidence. That's the whole elevator pitch. The more you practice that thing, the more you get to share it with people, you'll notice you'll become more confident in saying who you are. We know who we are, but sometimes we tend to go blank when we're in front of complete strangers. So again, the more that you say that thing, the more that you become confident. The more that you say it, the more you rehearse it, the more that you feel it, you're actually building your confidence. When you're utilizing your network, again, you're sharing knowledge. You're not just receiving something from someone, but you're also sharing your knowledge as well. And then you also develop long-lasting relationships. For some of us specifically, we worked a job, we left it 5 years ago. You haven't reached out to those people since you left the job. I would challenge you, those that you had a great working relationship, reach out to them, see how things are going. See where they are professionally. You never know. One of your past connections or someone that you used to work with, they could hold the fate of your next opportunity. Again, networking is a part of your job search. 85% of jobs are never even advertised. They don't make it to a job board. And so who you know actually matters. You guys have to be willing to attend meetings that are held by a professional association. You guys can go on Eventbrite. You guys can go on Meetup. Even on LinkedIn, you'll see a host of conferences. Some are in person. Many are still virtual, even since we moved, we're 4 years post-COVID, attend some things online. I actually like online events because you have the opportunity to connect with people outside of the city. Even when you're traveling, for those of you that have the opportunity to travel for work, make sure that you're connecting with people outside of your city. You never know what your professional fate may look like. You may decide that you want to relocate to another city. And so again, it's so important that you nurture your network. As I mentioned, LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I don't work for LinkedIn, but when I tell you, just like many people spend time on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, I spend my time on LinkedIn. It offers a huge opportunity to connect with a massive professional population. You have over 900 million users. Don't limit yourself on LinkedIn. You request people, that's what it's for. So I know some of us, we have these ideologies in our mind on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not following this person because they're not following me. That is not what LinkedIn is for. It is intended for you to connect with people that you don't know. I'm actually going to share something with you guys. Let me pull up my LinkedIn. I want to share with you another power of networking opportunity. There is a woman by the name of Taylor. I follow Aerial Investment, for those of you that are familiar with Melody Hobson. And so what I love about Melody is that a lot of women of color or men of color work for Aerial Investment. Long story short, there is a woman by the name of Taylor. She actually was an assistant to Melody. And so I followed her on LinkedIn for quite some time, didn't know her personally. And I just recently saw that she was promoted. And so for what it was worth, I decided I'm going to share this with you, but let me pull it up first. You're more than welcome, Elizabeth. Okay. This is real life example, so I had to share this with you guys. Okay. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Are you guys able to see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So about a week ago, Ariel, they posted about Taylor Abbey, who is now the Vice President of Institutional Marketing. She was named the Pension and Investments Influential Women in Institutional Investing Rising Star. And so I've been following this woman for a while. As I said, her career path is awesome, pretty awesome. And she actually started assisting Melody. And so if you look, she's been with Ariel for 7 years. She was a special assistant to the president. Then she moved on to be chief of staff. Then she served as a chief of staff to the co-CEO and the president. And for the last almost 5 years, she's been the VP of institutional marketing and investor relations. So when I saw that article about her, again, I've been following her for quite some time. For what it was worth, I wanted to send her a message. And so I want to share with you the message that I sent her. So I connected with her. So the message that I sent, I said, Taylor, I hope this message finds you well. I've been following your journey for some time now, and I'm deeply inspired by the impact you've made in the finance space. Your commitment is a kind of leadership that leaves a lasting legacy. As someone who believes in lifting as we climb, I love the opportunity to connect and learn more about your work. I look forward to the possibility of sharing ideas and supporting each other's growth. And if you notice, for those of you that know anything about LinkedIn, Taylor and I are now connected. So again, this is not someone that I know personally, but someone that I've been following. I've been watching her journey online. And so I was very authentic when I sent her the message, and I wanted to connect with her. So I didn't just hit the connection button. It was important for me to recognize that, hey, I've been following you, and I think you're making some great strides in the financial space. And so for what it's worth, I love to connect with you. And guess what? She accepted my connection. So again, that's kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier, right? It's important that you're very intentional with your connections on LinkedIn. You don't have to connect with people that you know. In fact, that's what the platform is intended. Be very strategic, be very intentional in your connections. Dorinda says, I find LinkedIn difficult to connect with people outside of my 9-to-5 profession. I'll sell insurance by day, and that's all I ever hear from. Dorinda, LinkedIn would be a great platform for you to connect with people. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to leverage LinkedIn groups, but there are a host of groups on LinkedIn where you could actually leverage your insurance business to connect with some people. So again, I think it's about finding the right type of people. So the power of LinkedIn, you can literally do keyword search to connect with people. You can search by title, you can search by company, you can search by group. There's so many different ways that you can search to connect with people. I'm actually going to drop my email address in the chat. So any of you that want to connect with me personally, feel free to do so, and I can walk you through some of the networking exercises. Excuse me. Let me put my presentation.
Bless you.
Thank you. Allergy season. Okay. All right. All right. Can you guys see my screen, or am I sharing it?
Now, yep.
Okay, you guys can see it now. Perfect. So 4 P's of perfect timing, perfect segue. So when you're crafting your message on LinkedIn, it has to have what I call the 4 P's. It has to be polite, it needs to be pertinent, it needs to be personalized, and it needs to be professional. So I challenge people all the time, when you're connecting with someone on LinkedIn, whether you know them or not, send a message. It doesn't have to be a long message, but send a message specifically to people that you don't know. LinkedIn is a professional social media platform. However, there is scamming that takes place on LinkedIn. And so one way that you can ensure that your message is authentic and it's not a scam or a spam message is make sure that when you send your connection request, you include a message. And again, one of the things that I am going to do for all of you that are attending this call, I'm actually going to email you a resource on how to craft 5 LinkedIn messages to 5 different prospects. I'm actually going to give you the script to do so. And so if you want to if you guys would just send me a personal message here in the chat with your email address, I'm going to make sure that I take those email addresses, and I'm going to send that document out to you guys today. So 5 potential prospects that you are likely to respond to on LinkedIn. These are the 5 messages, the 5 scripts that I am going to send you. It could be a mutual connection, so someone that you don't necessarily know. However, you share someone and you guys know someone mutually. Number 2, it can be something like I just did, where you respond to a recent post. So I saw Taylor on the Aerial investment page. That's what prompted me to reach out to her. It could be the third, someone that I met at, or someone that you met at a networking event. Number four, it could be a professional that you admire. Or number five, it can be a recruiter. For those of you that are in the market looking for a job, by the way, you can also network with recruiters. In fact, you should have some recruiters on speed dial if you're looking for a job, because why? They have a host of jobs in their back pocket. And so you want to make sure that certainly while you are in the job market looking for a job, that they keep you top of mind. So here are some actionable steps for networking. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, please create one, okay? If you are actively, and by the way, to create a LinkedIn profile, it's free. If your LinkedIn profile is not current, I strongly encourage you to update your LinkedIn profile. Remember, it needs to be representative of who you are today, not who you were professionally 5 years ago, certainly not 10 years ago. It needs to be reflective of who you are today. And so if you are currently in the job market actively seeking employment, I would encourage you to upgrade your basic account to LinkedIn Premium. There are a lot of features and functionality on the premium side, on the upgraded side, that just are not available to basic account users. So as a basic account user, definitely you can connect with people, you can look for jobs, but certainly if you want to take it to the next step. So for example, you want to send messages, you can definitely do so with LinkedIn Premium. So I would highly encourage you, if you're actively in the job market and perhaps you've not yielded the results, you've been looking for a job for 3 or 4 months, you've not yielded the results that you're looking for, I would highly encourage you to upgrade your basic LinkedIn account. Next homework assignment. I want you to identify 5 prospects to connect with on LinkedIn. And guess what? You're going to have a script because I'm going to send it to you. So these are going to be 5 people that you are going to add to your network. Maybe you know them, maybe you've heard of them, or maybe you don't. But the goal is that these people are going to connect with you. So that is why I am going to send you a customized message to send to them. And by the way, don't just connect with them. I want you to engage in their posts. If they post something, engage. If they recently were promoted, congratulate them. I want you to not only just connect with them, but I want you to water and nurture the connection as well. And then lastly, again, I'm going to send you the script, but you're going to send 5 messages to those designated 5 prospects. And by the way, a part of your homework is I want you to keep me up to date with, did they respond to you? Did they not respond to you? What's going on? Did you have a life-changing professional opportunity moment like myself? What did that look like? I always love to hear your stories. So please, please, please keep me posted. I'm actually going to share my, I'm going to share my email address for everyone, just so that you guys have it, so that we can stay connected. And by the way, I want you guys to look me up on LinkedIn and connect with me so I can be one of your 5 connections. So I just dropped my email address in the chat. I just dropped the correct spelling of my name so you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And this is my website. So for those of you that are struggling with your LinkedIn profiles and you need some help, reach out to me and I will assist you. All right, moving on. Let's talk about those networking resources. So we spoke about LinkedIn, but they also have Meetup. How many of you have heard of Meetup before?
I used to have a Meetup account.
Okay. Did you like Meetup?
Yeah, before they started charging a whole bunch.
Okay. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with Meetup, it's an online platform that helps people find, or you can join groups that are based on your shared interests or activities. And so I found it to connect individuals with in, like within your respective communities. They have virtual gatherings that are centered around, it could be around your hobbies, it can be around career development. I've literally seen meetup groups for just about anything. And so if you get on Meetup, you can join a group, you can create a group that is a particular interest if you don't see it currently on Meetup. Again, you have the opportunity to attend events. I've seen events virtually, I've seen events online. And the biggest thing is you get to network. So for those of you that have not tried Meetup, I actually, a few years ago, I used to live in Florida. And so when I lived in Florida, I was trying to establish my footing in Florida. I was trying to connect with people. And so I actually attended a couple meetups local to where I lived. And some of those people I'm still connected to today. So there was definitely some value in meetups. So if you've not had the opportunity to look it up, please feel free to do so. Local networking events. Eventbrite is also a great networking opportunity. They have a host of social events, but they also do professional events as well. By the way, job fairs are great networking sources. Even if you aren't per se actively looking for a job at that particular time, it's a great way for you to go and cruise the aisles, different companies, share your business card, get business cards. So job fairs are personally one of my favorite places to network. And then certainly volunteering. When you serve as a volunteer, you come across a host of people that you just never know who could help you, or you could certainly be a vessel and help those individuals. So I would definitely encourage you to maximize these resources that you see here on the screen. Again, LinkedIn, free account, but there's also an option for you to upgrade your account. And then again, of course, we have socials like our Facebook, our Instagram, and obviously on Facebook, there are a host of events that you guys can find local to your community. So again, I want you guys to stretch yourself. Maybe you can make it, this is September, by the end of the year. Perhaps you challenge yourself to attend 2 networking events. One can perhaps be online, and maybe the second event is actually you going somewhere. So make that challenge to yourself. You want to attend 2 events. And before you attend those events, make sure that you set some goals in mind. I'm going to connect with 5 people. And remember, craft your elevator pitch. So remember, that was one of your homework assignments. You're going to get that elevator pitch together and you're going to practice it. So even if you are online at a virtual event, sometimes these online virtual events, they have breakout sessions. You can still practice your elevator pitch. So please, please, please do so. And remember, keep me posted because I want to know how things are going for you. Social networking. So obviously you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, there are a host of social icons. I love the social networking atmosphere because it allows us the worldwide connectivity. If you want to connect with someone in a different state, the web has provided us the opportunity to connect. I can't tell you how many people I'm connected with on social media that do not reside in Chicago, and how amazing it is that when I travel with my family, I've actually connected with some of those people where we are online friends. So we're online friends. We've never met up until I actually came to their city or vice versa. They've come here in Chicago and they're like, we have to meet, we have to do dinner, we have to link up. And literally our connection started online. So again, the great part about social networking is that it's easy, it's an instant connection. There's some fun and enjoyment. Sometimes it can be information overload and it can be overwhelming. Don't fall victim to social peer pressure. I say it all the time. Professionals suffer from imposter syndrome. You literally are looking at the success of other people and you're saying, I need to be there. I should have been here. No, I need to get on my camera to say this part because I'm gonna say it with conviction. Your journey is for you. Please do not get online and judge where you should be looking at the success of someone else. Everybody's journey is different. Your journey was written the way that it was, and it was carefully designed just for you. So do not allow the success of others to dampen where you are today. Your journey, the ebbs and the flows, the bumps and the bruises are part of your testimony. I wasn't always at the top of my career. In fact, there were many years where I spent stuck in my career, not knowing what I wanted to do, feeling that my purpose had not been served, feeling depleted. All of those things I experienced as a professional, and I was able to navigate those challenges. And so you too can do the same thing. It's not always going to be roses. That's all a part of the journey. You don't just go through it. You have to grow through the journey. It's so important that you grow through the journey. And it's also important that you recognize not only, when things are very good, but you recognize when things aren't so good. What space were you in at that time of your life? For those of you that don't journal, I would highly encourage you to journal. I'm a proponent. I do self-assessments on myself every quarter. Every quarter, I like to take an inventory of where I am professionally, where I am personally. And I often go back and I reflect, specifically when I felt like I was doing really, really well. And I like to see what was going on at my life at that time. Was I overwhelmed with family stress? Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. But again, I like to take pages from my own book to say, you know what, girl, you was rocking and rolling in that season. And so what were you doing? I was doing more reading. I was doing more reflection. I was doing more meditating. I was less connected from social media. I was very intentional on what I was feeding my brain. And so again, when you journal and when you keep track of those things, you're able to go back and you're able to reflect. Okay. Networking events. Again, I cannot stress the importance of attending networking events. It can be breakfast networking. They can be tied specifically to your industry. They can be roundtable events. For those of us that, like a good cocktail, attend happy hour networking meetups. Those are also great. And then LinkedIn has a host of groups online where you can network. And for those of you that are, again, actively in the job market and looking for new employment opportunities, I would highly encourage you to get active on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my LinkedIn one more time because let me go back. Couple different things that you guys should be aware of. Let me know when you guys are able to see my screen. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So your banner, this area here, this real estate here is referred to your banner. Make sure that you actually have a banner. So for those of you that currently are employed, you can have the banner of your company, or for those of you that have a Canva account, Canva, www.canva.com. I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. I would highly encourage you, if your banner is blank, I would highly encourage you to go and get a free LinkedIn banner and update your LinkedIn page. Make sure that you have a professional headshot. and remember, this is a reflection of who you are today. This is your LinkedIn headline. So for example, if you were to go on Google, this is also great. You want to make sure that you are using keywords relative to the position that you are trying to obtain. So for example, if I were to go into Google and I were to type my name, look what comes up. I'm a talented, innovative, and strategic leader. I enjoy. So again, your headline is going to be very important because it's a part of what comes up in the search engine optimization results. So make sure that you are very strategic with what you place in your headline that's just below your name. Hey, Dorinda girl, see, that's why we need to connect. She went to Keller as well. If you are open to work, make sure you notate that. And by the way, this open to work section, you could turn it on just for recruiters. Or if you want to make your entire network aware that you are looking for work, you can also make that selection too. But a couple different things that I want you to know, that people, when they go on LinkedIn, specifically recruiters and hiring managers, they're looking at this section right here, the activity section, because they're able to see how active you are. So for example, last week I made a post and it was about September 11th. There was another time I made a post 3 months ago about Juneteenth. 5 months ago, I went to a conference. You can just see my activity here. So 5 months ago, I went to a tech conference downtown where I was able, as you can see, I love networking. I was able to connect with some women that I had never met before. But again, they are in the technology industry. And so to this day, we're still communicating with each other. And again, these are women that I met at a conference. That Black Enterprise Conference that I mentioned, this is a picture from that event. So I went to that also 5 months ago. And when I tell you that event was nothing short of amazing, but I highlighted that on my LinkedIn. In addition to just posting, I also comment as well. So remember, I told you that I have over 1,200 connections. I'm also commenting on my connections as well. So for example, I also teach. I'm also a professor at Northeastern Illinois University. This happened to be one of my students. And so he turned 35 and he received his master's degree. So, and he shared, hey, for my 35th birthday, my degree came in the mail. So again, they don't always have to be long messages, but I'm always connecting. I'm always connecting. There's always a touch point that I have with these people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. This one touched my heart. So this was that same student that I had. He shared his actual degree. And I just said, hey, congratulations on achieving this incredible milestone. And he was able to share some sentiments from taking my class. And so again, it's those type of things that, again, it makes this platform so worthwhile when you're connecting. So I wanted to share that, guys. I know we're kind of bouncing back and forth, but again, we're a small group here, and it's important for me to share these real life examples. So if you've ever felt defeated or unclear on how to navigate, I wanted to specifically show you some examples for how you can leverage your LinkedIn platform to activate your network, okay? Let me go back to our presentation. So how to build a professional network. So some of you may say, well, how do I build a network? It's a great question. I think it's important. First things first, you have to prioritize your objectives. Why are you doing this? What's the purpose, right? It's important to have the end goal in mind. So when you're actually navigating your network, you could check off the boxes and say, yep, I did that. I did that. Up, need to go back, need to circle back and do this. So prioritize your objectives. With people that you're connecting to, find some sort of common ground. Just as Dorinda mentioned, when I had my screen up, she realized that we both went to Keller. That's a common ground for the both of us. And that's the beauty of LinkedIn, whether it's a mutual connection, maybe you went to the same school, maybe they went to a school that you wanted to go to. Maybe you guys worked at the same company together. See where your commonalities lie. Consider people that you've already impressed. Those are great people to connect with. Pay it forward. Don't overlook your current job. There may be some people at work that you may need to connect with. Maybe you guys obviously work together, but you've not connected with them on LinkedIn. I would encourage yourself to do so. And last but not least, put yourself in front of people that you want to meet. Again, I keep going back to the example of my mentor. This is not a woman that I knew, but again, because of the time that I spend on LinkedIn, she was someone that I wanted to know. I was very strategic in meeting her, and it definitely worked to my advantage. And so this is the last homework assignment that I'm going to give you guys. But first things first, I want you to determine some local events in your area where you could actually get out and network. So within the next 180 days, I want you to determine 3 events that you're going to volunteer. Over the course of the next 180 days, 3 events that you're going to volunteer. And remember, please guys, keep me posted, send me pictures, tag me on social media. I love to be a part of this. Prioritize your networking objectives. I would say do this within the next 7 to 10 days if time permits. Create a consistent networking schedule. So for those of you, if literally twice a week, you just go through your feed on LinkedIn and you're commenting, you're engaging, you're literally in groups, you're sharing your residential knowledge, your tribal knowledge, do those things. You never know who's watching in the groups. It can be a hiring manager in the group. They like something that you said, and the next thing you know, they're looking at your profile. By the way, that happened to me recently as well. There was a gentleman, I had shared my expertise related to a subject, and there was a gentleman who was a senior vice president at a specific organization. I noticed a couple times he had looked at my profile, and so guess what I did? I sent him a message. It wasn't a creepy thing, but I just said, and by the way, he has a position on his team that I'm interested in. So you see how this thing works? I literally sent him a message, and I sent him the message as a result of me watching him on my profile. And so needless to say, I had an interview with this company last Thursday, and I actually have a second interview with them on Monday. The power of networking is real. By the way, I did all of this before I saw the posting on the website, okay? Again, you want to maximize your professional network connections, okay? All right. My final thoughts. Make a lasting impression. Hopefully, I was able to make a lasting impression with you guys here today. Networking is a great way for you to sell yourself to your future employer. As you've learned, job hunting extends beyond the job board. It actually includes networking too. The more info you know, it makes conversations less awkward. In my opinion, organic conversations are the absolute best. If you have any questions for those interviewing you as well, you should know your desire for your prospects if the fit is going to be mutual. So again, professional development is a journey that never ends. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. Successful professionals would attest that continued learning and training was instrumental to their success. I do have some e-learning courses, and again, you can connect with me. I shared my email address and my website online, but here it is again for those of you that want to capture this image with your phones. And LLF Consulting without the hyphen is where you can find me on social. I'm also going to share another group with you that I have on Facebook. It's a free group on Facebook where I share a host of career resources for professionals. It's called Learning with Lay. I just dropped that. And again, you can literally just request to be in the group and I'll accept you, and it's free. For those of you that are ready to build your six-figure network, I have a course just for you. Again, you can find that course on my website. And then if you want to land your dream job, I actually have a book, Boss Up and Land Your Dream Job Today. This book has successful resume writing, job search, and interviewing techniques, and you can purchase your copy of my book on Amazon today. You can literally type in the title, or you can type in Liasha McDaniel, and that is where you will find the book, and you will also see some reviews for the book as well. Couple of my clients that have actually taken the course, you can see what they says, good old testimonials. I love them. So again, these are people that I've had the opportunity to work with. So again, just some feedback. And thank you. It has been truly my pleasure sharing this networking journey with you. I hope I was able to share some gems with you that you found to be invaluable. I definitely gave you plenty of homework. And so hopefully you take the homework and actually put it into practice, and definitely let's stay connected. I'm not just saying that. I'm not funny style. Follow me. I follow you back because I want to know where you guys are, how you guys are progressing through your journey. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very informative. I appreciate it. I definitely will connect with you on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Thank you, Dorinda.
We can open it for questions. I'm not sure if anybody had anything. I don't want to interrupt the flow in the room. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very informative, Miss Liasha.
No, you're more than welcome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Let's stay connected for sure.
Yeah. Have a great day, everyone. Happy
You
weekend. Take care.
Bye-bye, Elizabeth.
Awesome. Okay, well, that puts us to the end. Oh, sorry, somebody.
I have a quick question. You mentioned if you're in the position, if you're looking for a job, update your LinkedIn and things like that. And for me, I have been in the insurance industry for about 7, 8 years full time now. But I'm at work, so I don't even know. My phone went dead, so I don't know how to get the camera on this work computer. But anyway, so I'm trying to go back to financial education, which is something that I did pretty much on the free years ago. And so now I want to switch careers to that as a permanent basis. I do have a financial education company, but it hasn't done very well because it literally started December 2019. I did one seminar January 2020, and then the world shut down. And it's just been really, really hard trying to come back from that since then. So in my past, before insurance, I did a lot of corporate accounting and things like that. Should I remove that from my LinkedIn, the corporate accounting things, since it is a long time ago and I'm not looking to get back into that? Or should I keep it there for history so that it shows that I do have time and understanding in that area?
So I think you should keep it for historical purposes. So think of your resume. So your resume should go back no more than 15 years. 10 years is a sweet spot. So your resume is going to be reflective of things that are more current. However, your LinkedIn will detail your history. If you are just like, I never want to visit this again, you can remove it, but there is no harm in having the historical context available on LinkedIn because it shows your growth.
Okay.
And to your point, you may decide to activate that extension of business. Maybe it's not now, but at least you have you have the documentation that is a world that once upon a time you did live in.
Gotcha. Because my biggest concern right now is I don't know if I want to work, quit, find a new job or what, to be perfectly honest with you. But what I do know is I no longer want to sell insurance.
How about this? I think you would be a great, I love to speak with you. So I offer career coaching. And so that service is intended for professionals like you who are simply trying to figure out what it is that they want to do. And so let's talk offline. I'm actually, if you send me we're streaming. So email me, you have my email address, and let's set up sometime. I was going to drop my phone number, but this is going on YouTube. If you email me, I will send you a link for my calendar, and we can get a consultation so that we can talk more in depth about strategizing and figuring out what that next professional move needs to look like for you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have my email? Do you want me to give it to you again?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, give it to me. I believe I screenshot it on my phone, but like I said, my phone went dead. I didn't realize my battery was going down.
No worries. It's Liasha, LAISHA at LLF-consulting.com. Liasha at LLF-consulting.com.
Okay, great. All right, well, I definitely appreciate you. And when I get out of this job today, I will send you an email.
Okay, let's connect for sure.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
No, you're more than welcome. And Shauntee, thank you as always for being a very gracious host.
Thank you for dropping the gems. Every time you talk, I go on my LinkedIn. I don't know if you saw my comment.
Yeah, I did.
I need to and I do add, like, of course, after, even prior to you saying it, but it's always a good reminder, like, oh, I did not post that thing. Let me post that. And so one tip that she gave us the last time, I think when we met in person, was to you said to make comments on LinkedIn and not just to do reactions. So I've been more mindful of that.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Time you come, you get us right. So thank you so much for concluding our series. Oh, go ahead, Dorinda.
Sorry, I was just saying a couple of years ago, I used to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I would make like short blogs, or I would go around and respond to people's posts.
Yes.
And I started getting a lot of engagement.
For sure.
And, I mean, it was good engagement when you compare to like Facebook and Instagram, stuff, it was stuff that mattered. And I don't know what made me, I guess because after a while, maybe it got boring, maybe. I don't know. But I found it very helpful in, like you said earlier, finding out who's who. Because you can literally click on and like, oh, I really like their comment. Let me see who they are. Like, where are they located? What do they do? Really get a feel for people versus other social media platforms where, you see that they have a dog, they have a couple of kids.
Absolutely.
They feel like, the current news is funny, but other than that, you don't know who they are on a professional level.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you're trying to definitely build out your network, you want to know that people are human, but you don't need, for me, I don't need to know that you believe in dark humor or you like horror movies, and you know what I'm saying? Because that's not what I'm looking for.
Yes.
But yeah, I got a lot of more engagement when I actually made comments. People would actually come to my post, and my post would be naked. Then I'm like, oh, I need to put something because they've been here.
Yeah.
Like, wow, they came to visit, and I didn't have cookies. But let me lay out something.
Yes.
So yeah, that is definitely a good point. Like, you can really build a good network through LinkedIn, but it do get boring sometimes, though.
And I think, and we'll talk about this more when you and I connect offline, but I think now specifically as you are trying to figure out what that next move looks like, it may be worth to start re-engaging back on LinkedIn. I know you said you were heavy on it a few years ago. I probably would start doing it now because I think that will help, specifically as you're trying to navigate the steps to, what that future state of you looks like. I think that will be so beneficial.
Makes sense. Okay.
But let's talk for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump off, ladies. This was great. I thank you very much.
Okay. Bye, ladies.
Take care.
I before like we stop streaming on YouTube, I do want to one again thank you so much for concluding us, and then just give a special shout out to like all of our sponsors. So again, this entire series and the fall series, which we'll email you all about, is powered by Touch Gift Foundation. So huge thank you to Touch Gift and like our founder, Kiona Owens. Who is the mastermind behind this entire series. So our sponsors, the Chicago Fund for Safety and Peaceful, Safe and Peaceful Communities, Southland Rise through Advocate, and UCMC, the Metropolitan Board of the Chicago Urban League Metro Board, LLF Consulting, who is wonderful. Of course, we have the L in LLF Consulting right here with us today. BMO Harris, Success Junkie, who has also been some session sponsors. Our community Spark sponsors, Renuka Sharma. Want a huge thank you, Carmen Morales. Thank you. We had some anonymous donors to help, sponsor this series as well. And for our venue sponsors, we had Hugh Chicago and also the Shy. So thank you all. We could not have done any of this without your help. So catch us in the fall. We'll email, then you'll see on social media all that we have